Welcome to this week's episode of the Expand and Evolve podcast. If this is your first time joining us, thank you so much for being here. And if you come and listen or watch on YouTube or Spotify or listen on Apple Podcasts, thank you so much for being here. Okay, so I had a coaching call this morning. I was talking about something. I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and I was reflecting on this last night, and I felt like I wanted to just come on here myself and share freely and do a little solo episode where I just give you guys my thoughts of what I'm noticing in my own life lately, because I think it might be valuable for you. And so the things that I wanted to talk about just briefly, so you kind of know what this episode is going to be about, is things I've talked about before, but clarity, vision, having all out faith and belief in the things that you want, and also truly understanding how your thoughts do 1000% create your reality. And this is something that is not new. None of these concepts are new. Most of these concepts you probably heard me talk about before. Most of these concepts you may have heard me talk about before, and you may have heard them. But there's a difference of hearing something and then experiencing it and feeling what that feels like within your body and then getting it. Does this make sense? So you could have heard someone say, "Thoughts create your reality." You're like, "Oh yeah, I heard that before." But until you've implemented it, felt it, and understood what that really means by seeing it happen in your own life, you don't actually get it. Okay. And so I think there's a lot of information if you guys are personal growth junkies, if you like to go to events, if you like to, I don't know, go learn from teachers, if you like to listen to podcasts, if you like to think that you know a lot, knowing. And I love the term mental masturbation, where you can listen to info, you can just get obsessed with learning. And that's an amazing thing to fill your time with, is learning. But can you actually apply it, and do you know what it looks like when it happens in your real life? So I wanted to give some examples of this, because I was on a call with someone earlier, and we were talking about this, and I said, you get it. When you think something, it happens. I said, has there been an example lately where you had a thought and then literally within minutes or an hour it happened? And she was like, yeah, I literally was praying to say, is this right for me or not? Please God, give me a sign. Should I be here? Should I switch and do something else? We were talking about business. And within not even 2 hours, someone who is going to be a regional vice president, national vice president in the company that we work with. So she's going to go to the top of the company. Okay. Joined within 2 hours of that prayer. And that's just an example of when you have full faith and you are willing to ask the questions or pray, or however you want to do it, journal, meditate, set intentions, ask for clarity. You have to see it as everything is working around you at all times. So the minute that you think a thought, you're creating that with a physical manifestation in the real world. So for anything to become anything in this world, it all stems from a thought. Anything man creates, women creates, whatever. As a human being, anything we create in this world stems from a thought first before it ever becomes something in the real world and in our reality. So if you start to really get that, and if you can think of an example within your own life where, let's just say, for example, you thought of someone's name and then they messaged you and you're like, what the heck? I literally just thought about that person. They just texted me. Or for example, this happened 2 days ago. I thought about this girl. I almost messaged her because I was wondering how she was doing. And then I was like, maybe she's still going through it. I'll just let her be. She messaged me this morning. These little synchronicities that are not synchronistic at all, it's just proving to you the thing that you think. Another example, last night I was like, oh yeah, you're going to move this much volume in your business. You need to do it right now. She refreshed her numbers, she'd move that exact amount. So just understanding, when you start paying attention to this, understanding it's not coincidence. You're creating it. You are creating it all. Every single thought that you think, the version of reality that you're living in, you're creating it from what you think in your mind. So if you want to change your reality, this is where listening to podcasts, going to conferences, going to self-help seminars, reading books, all of those things are so valuable, because it puts new thoughts in your mind. When you have new information, you can think new thoughts. When you think new thoughts, you can change your life. You can change your world. You can change everything. And that's where learning those things is so valuable, because for some of us, we've grown up for 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 80 years thinking a certain way because that's all we knew. And then you add these new thoughts and it completely starts to change it starts to shift and deconstruct your entire reality as you know it, because now you have been introduced to a different way of thinking, a new thought form, and it changes everything. Because once you have the self-awareness and you see these things, you can't unsee it. You can't go back. We've talked about this with some of my friends before, back in 2020, when I started having a ton of awareness around this world and like the darkness and the light and the things that are happening and understanding the greater systems at play. It was so much easier to be blissfully unaware because I just got to live life. There was no self-awareness to like the power that I had and that I was responsible for everything in my life. I was responsible for the life I wanted to create. I was responsible for how I felt. I was responsible for what I chose to allow into my mind and how I wanted to feel. When you understand that and you can no longer go into the energy of blame or outsourcing or just kind of like going through life as if like a normal person that just can just go through life and think that the media and all these things like aren't intentionally trying to breed fear to keep you powerless. Like when you understand that and you see it, it's so hard. You can never go back. You can never go back to the place that you were where you weren't self-aware and you didn't know what was going on. And now you have no choice but to hone in and take complete responsibility for your life in how it looks and how you create it. And I wanted to share a couple examples and I want to keep this kind of short. So just an example in my own life where I was like, holy shit, I'm actually seeing the power of our vision and how much like when we think something, it can come to fruition in reality. So just an example. Okay. When I was going through this house process, so earlier this year, I decided that I wanted to get a house with land. I was like, okay, I need to start acting on it. I need to be able to start the school. Like I need to start now because time is going by and I need to get going on it. So I started looking at homes. And if you guys have heard previous episodes, I talked about how the first house I looked at, like visually, it was perfect, but land-wise, it was not. And I had to choose, like, am I going to kind of settle on what my entire vision is just for the pretty house? Or can I be patient and trust that like the right thing is going to show up for me? And so I decided to be patient and wait for the right thing to show up for me. I ended up I found a property that I really liked. So in that, I was like, okay, I got to list my house because I'm ready. Let's get moving. Let's get going. I thought I couldn't buy this other house without selling mine. And then when we ended up talking to, we were in this waiting game, okay? With this waiting game of thinking like, I need to sell my house in order to get the house that I want. I've talked about this so many times. Like when you're in a waiting energy, you become so disempowered. It's not even funny. You give away all of your power. Nothing can happen for you the way you want it, and expect nothing that you want in life to happen when you're waiting. Okay. So if you notice that you're like, oh, well, when this happens, then I will blank. When this happens, then I will do this. Oh, when this partner comes in, then I will go for that. Once this person comes into my life, then I'll be able to like go for the goal that I want. When my kids finally go to school, then I'll be able to XYZ. You get the point. When you're waiting, expect nothing that you want to come true. Okay. When you're waiting, you're disempowered. It literally repels everything that you want away from you. So I was waiting for someone to come magically in and buy my house. And then I ended up just asking the question, do I even need to sell my house to get this other house? And my mortgage broker went, no, you can get approved without it. And I went, okay, so what the F are we waiting for? If I know that I want this house, why am I sitting in this waiting energy hoping that some mysterious person comes in and buys my house? And then in that moment, I went, okay, if I'm meant to sell the current house I'm living in, and that's what's best for me, then have a buyer come so that I can let this house go and we'll figure it out along the way. And no one really came. And right as I was about to pull my house off the market, someone made an offer, a good one. And I feel like it was my test to say like, are you going to settle when you know in a year you're going to get more? It's going to be better for you to just stay put in your house until the other house is ready. What's better for you? And who are you going to choose? Are you going to choose what feels easier because it feels less scary to like know that you have the money to do all the renovations you want and blah, blah, blah. So you're going to sell this house? Or can you hold the faith that everything's going to work out and you actually deserve to not be displaced, not have to live somewhere else, be able to be comfortable in this process over the next year, and then decide to sell your house? And my point in all of this is like, think of in your life where you want something to happen so bad and it's not happening. What if it's because at like a high level, it's not the best thing for you? So just an example, let's say I did sell this house. I sold this house because I was like, you know what? I need to sell it in order to buy that house. I would be right now trying to find somewhere to rent to move my kids, my furniture, my dogs, my parents, everybody in some random place until I'm ready to move into that other house. And that other house is probably going to take a year from now. And I'm like, had I thought that it was the only way, because that's the only way I could see it in my like box of vision and thinking, I'd basically be homeless right now, because I started looking at rent and I was like, there's nothing that can fit us all. Like there was nothing available that I was seeing. And I was like, holy crap, thank God I wasn't so stubborn that I had to do it the only way I thought it would work. And that I had the courage and the faith to go, okay, if I'm not meant to sell this right now, then like show me that I'm not meant to sell it, or like let go of that and figure out another way. And my point in this is like, can you surrender when things are not happening exactly as you think they should or how you want them to? Can you surrender to the fact that there's something bigger at play that's trying to actually make things easier for you? That's trying to make things more calm and peaceful and easeful and flowy. Can you trust that? Or are you such a freaking control freak that the way you see things is the only way it can work and you can't see anything outside of it, and you're so that you can't understand that like you don't need to do things out of force? And so now I took my house off the market. I was like, this is actually feels way better. I'm having to really step into having faith that I can act and be abundance regardless of the amount of dollars that I have, to trust that like it's all going to work out over the next year to help me create the thing that I want to create, because I know at the root and the core of it, it's like heart-centered in service. Does this make sense? And so it's like, if that's coming from a really good heart-centered service place, anything that you want to create in this world, you're always, I feel, going to be taken care of. Like things are just going to work out for you in the best way that they need to in order for all of the things that you want to achieve. And so my point is, can you have the faith that when things are not working out exactly as you imagined, that maybe they're being maneuvered for the best possible thing for you? Does this make sense? So like for me, understanding that me not selling my house is allowing me comfort. It's allowing me the comfort of not moving my kids 3 times, not having to find storage 3 times, not having to like figure out a place, like all of that stuff. I just get to stay put, stay cozy, comfy until we're ready to move. And then I'll list my house and I'll sell it then. Does this make sense? So like think in your life, where have things not worked out how you wanted them to, but in the end worked out better than you could have imagined and actually in your benefit? There's probably a lot. And if you've forced things to happen where you know in your heart, like you can remember and be like, oh yeah, shit, I like really forced it. How did it work out for you? All my examples where I've like really forced things, I've had real big lessons, because it's like, stop doing that. Like I like to see it as, whether you see it as like God, spirit, angel guides, whoever, they're all working in your favor. Like imagine you have a one big happy family of invisible star family that is literally up there being like, okay, how can we support her? Okay, she wants this. Okay, let's start maneuvering these things over here. You can't see what they're maneuvering to make happen for you. You just have to trust it. You make the decision. I'll bring this into the clarity part. You get clear on your vision. You create clarity. You write down the intentions of what you want. You get clear. You get decisive on what you're asking for and where you're wanting to move toward. And then just let the rest happen. If you haven't read the book, The Miracle Equation, it talks about having unwavering faith paired with extraordinary effort. And that's what allows you, what is it? Unwavering faith with extraordinary effort equals, I don't know, equals, what does it equal? Anyway, it's like a equation for miracles, whatever. It's what allows things to happen for you. So the second that you decide what you want, get crystal clear, like detailed down to, there's no way for someone to look at that and like question what you mean. It's that clear. When you have that and then you pair it with unwavering faith, not needing to know how it's going to happen, but trusting that it will. And the second that you declare what you want, that things are going to start unfolding for you. You're going to be paired with the right people, the right resources, the right situations are going to arise, the right conversations, the right interactions, like trusting divine timing that it's going to all line up for you in the best way that it needs to. That's when the things start happening. But you need to be the one that's in control. Like, can you maintain that unwavering faith all the way through? Can you maintain it? And then also, can you continue to show up by taking action toward that thing every single day? It doesn't mean you have to grind like a workhorse, but in the actions that you take each day, are they helping lead you to the thing that you want? So for example, for me right now in my life, I realized based on the cost of what it's going to be to do the renovations that I want and do everything that I have envisioned, there's a certain amount of money I need to have in order to do that thing. Okay. So examples of taking aligned action might look like I figure out, okay, what's my options for getting a construction loan? I'm going to make phone calls. I'm going to ask, like, what's my situation here? How much could I get approved for? What does that make my mortgage payment like if I was to like merge the two? Is that an opportunity? Is that a possibility? Like, I'm going to meet with builders. I'm going to have conversations. I'm going to get things priced out. So I have real figures. Those are aligned actions with the end goal of having the house that I want. Okay. I'm just using this as an example because it's very real life to me right now. Also, like, I've been out of breath this whole time because I ran up the stairs. So if my voice sounds a little funny, that's probably why. Also, I feel like I couldn't sleep last night. I don't know if anybody else. It was like a full moon, whatever. Anyways, okay. So what was I saying? Yeah. So taking the aligned actions. Another example is, okay, this is something I like to do. If I was to pay this out in cash, how much money would I need to make per month in order to put a lump sum towards the payments every single month to pay this out in cash? Just think of anything. It could be like, you want another house and you need a $500K down payment. So how much money would you need per month over a year to pay that out? Like, just doing real math. Like, when I was looking at my first house, I went and looked at like, okay, here's a sample mortgage payment of the home that I want to buy. I can't afford it right now, but this is what I would need to be making in order to afford a mortgage payment like that. And then I kept that at the like subconsciously at the back of my mind, that that's what I was building my business toward, to be able to afford that thing. So for you, it could be like, okay, you want that thing. Have you priced it out? When you have a clear figure of how much money you need to make, that makes it very simple and clear to know what your target is and what your focus is. So for me, it was like, okay, if I want to be able to do this, because I'm just doing this for fun at this point, like, could I actually do this and pay it in cash? Like, could I build my business to a point where I have enough coming in, I could pay this out in cash? Could I? It's just a thought. And in that, I was like, okay, like, this is how many dollars I would need per month in order to pay this out and live comfortably and not change anything about my lifestyle, but be able to pay this out. This is X is how much extra money I need. And so now, because I know that, I've set intentional goals for my business in order to work toward that. So it's like, have you done that? Or are you just like, one day I want to build a dream home? Great. Love that you know that that's something you want. But like, what are you doing to take aligned action toward that thing? Do you have any idea what it costs? Have you had any idea like what your dream home even looks like? Have you gone and looked at houses to see what that pricing is like? Have you looked at what a mortgage payment might be? Have you figured out how much money you would need to actually like live in the dream home? Have you like, because here's the thing, you can be the biggest visionary on the planet. Like, you can have all these thoughts and ideas and creations, but we live in a physical world. And so all of those thoughts, as amazing as they are, as having vision is as incredible as it is that you can be creative, if you're not taking any action in this physical world, it doesn't matter how much you manifest, how much you write intentions, how much you like blow your dreams into water and drink it, or like put something under a pillow. It doesn't matter if you're not taking aligned action. Yes, we are powerful. Yes, the thoughts you create become real in reality. Yes. But the only way that happens is to take actions. And for some of us, what I feel and so much on Instagram right now is like, you're so powerful and you can manifest anything you want. And it's like, yes, that is true. And it's not happening unless you do something. So if I right now wrote down everything I want, I feel like I'm at a point right now where maybe I really am that powerful. I could just sit here meditating for 100 years straight and all the things I want would just come to me. Maybe I'm that powerful. Like, I believe we all have that power, but like, we need to do stuff. Okay. We need to have conversations. We need to, let's say it's like post on Instagram. You need to go meet people. You need to do the stuff in order to have the thing. Okay. So that it's both. All right. So I also just want to say, like, your timeline, you need to, okay. In setting goals, there needs to be timelines that you commit to, right? Like, I think if you always leave everything open-ended, like there is value in setting a timeline, but trusting if it's not happening on that timeline and you truly are doing everything it takes, like you're taking the aligned actions, you're doing the things, you really are showing up for that thing. Maybe there's a reason it's not happening in that exact way that you had imagined. So here's another example, okay? In my own business. So right now there's a massive goal I'm going for to earn a trip to Bali. And I've thought about this where I'm like, okay, I want like this person to get into this and I need to make this much money in order to earn it and blah, 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 blah. And I could, our words are spells, so I don't even want to say this, but it's like, I know I'm good. I'm going to earn it. Okay. But there is a potential that it couldn't work out the way I had imagined. And I had to surrender and accept it. That when I was trying to control it, I was like, okay, if this person like does this, then like they'll go and then I can earn it and blah, 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 blah. That's true. That's true. But when I realized that I was coming from that energy of like force for myself, selfishly, like I only wanted this thing to happen so that I could get the thing, I was facing resistance. It wasn't happening for me. The moment I surrendered and I went, okay, if there's a better plan here for these people and my business and my life, and it's not meant to happen, like I'm okay with that, but I'm still going to be going for it and like setting the intention that it's happening. But I can't do it out of the selfishness of me wanting to earn the trip, that I want these things to happen for these other people. Because now I'm trying to play God on people's timelines where like, maybe that's not what's best for them. Maybe that timeline isn't what's best for them. And maybe that timeline's not what's best for me. And the moment you surrender, everything's working out and it's all happening now. But like in those moments where you're feeling that like scarcity and control and force, where you just want to like lock in and you can feel it, where it feels like, like you feel a little bit panicked, like, and the person's not maybe answering you, responding to you, or like a deal didn't go through that you thought would go through and you're now panicking about it, or like the clients you thought were going to come in, they all canceled, whatever your thing is, you have to trust that like by you just knowing your own power, that when you always come back and surrender to like, okay, I trust the timeline and the higher plan here is all in my best interest and all in my best good. So I'm going to keep showing up for the things that I know I want, but I'm not going to try to control other people's destinies and fate in order to get the thing that I want. Does that make sense? So it's like, can you have the awareness of that when you're trying to play God and control things externally? Another thing that I wanted to say, I feel so aligned on purpose and clear in where I'm going, in the direction of my life, my vision, the next year, 2 years, 3 years, the things that I'm moving toward. I'm so freaking focused. And I was thinking about this, that for a year or so, I was just like, oh my God, like, where am I going to meet my husband? Like, I wonder if I'm going to meet him. Like, when is he going to show up? Like, oh my gosh, I just want him to show up. Like this partnership that I'm dreaming of. Like, I hope it comes, and I hope like maybe this will be it. Like it was kind of consuming. Like as much as I'm like living my life and doing the thing, I was willing to kind of like play my life around him. Like I didn't need to push for what I really wanted. I didn't need to go for my goals. I even had the thought, there's fuzz on my lip. If I continue to become more successful, am I like deterring the person that could be for me? Do you know how dumb that is when I say that out loud? But this is just real life. Like as a female who is successful and can earn money and do all these things, when it comes to a partnership and you're expecting and wanting someone who can meet you, bare minimum meet you, but then exceed you, you're lowering, and this is said to me all the time, like, oh my God, wow, if you keep, earning more money, or if you keep becoming better, like you're really like reducing your chances of people. And I'm like, yeah, I only need one. And if I exist, so does he. And I've said this before, but like how much we're willing to dim ourselves to try to be met by somebody else. Like we want to make ourselves smaller so that, we can reach more people. Like it's just so insane. But I noticed that these thoughts kind of came through where it was like, oh, I don't know. Like, will I not be in my feminine energy if I like keep building my business? And I can just say that we're meant to be both. Like you are meant to have clear focus, direction, intention. That's masculine. It's very like, And then you also can do it with flow and ease and fun and love and from your heart. And that's feminine. And you compare the two in growing a business and being successful. And I had to realize like no effing way. If I was willing to tone myself down, not aspire to be everything that I know I can be, not reach for more success. Like I was going to tone that down for a guy. What? What? The fact that that thought even entered my mind, I was like, the man I'm supposed to be with would never want to know that I did that. Like would never want to know that I did that. That's not me standing in my power. Not at all. And so I'm saying this because again, the timelines of things, like just trust that the thing that you think you want most, if it's not happening for you in that moment, it's not meant to yet. You have lessons you need to learn. You have things you need to go through. You have things that you need to grow into within yourself. And for me, that was me. Like I've grown into a different version of me and I'm coming back to truly finding myself, I feel like, in when I'm so on it in terms of growing my business and like running and moving and doing all the things and being really busy and being able to manage it all and integrating that piece of me in again in a different way. Like I think I've done this before years ago where I was like hustling and I was grinding and I was going and I was going and I was going, but it was out of a different energy. Like I still love it and I thrive in it and it's so much fun, but I found that side of me again. And so I'm like, now that my focus, and this is just for the women who are single or whatever, 555, of course, as I said that, because major life changes are manifesting. That's what that means. And I keep saying 555. Anyway, if you're a woman and you're single, I think sometimes we can feel like we need to downplay ourselves in order to meet the other. And just remembering that the best thing that you can do to attract a partner is to be so focused on your own life, yourself, your own purpose, your own mission, your own vision, that you will be in the right energy in the spaces that would attract the right type of person to you. So when I was in that like more disempowered state of like, oh, I don't know, like maybe he knows what's best and like I'll just wait and I don't want to buy a house yet because like what if he wants to live here and I'm just willing to go move with him because I'm so like feminine right now and I'm just like willing to go with it because like I want to follow my man and let him lead, and like these were real things and those things are true and we're not married. So why am I willing to like give my life up and the things that I want for him? Not time yet. Okay. So it's like I need to stay firm in what I want and trust that me and that energy is attracting a guy that's an equal. So I don't want that. I want to attract a guy that's like on par with where I am right now when I'm in my purpose, my passion, and my power. When I'm in that, the type of guy that I'm going to create is going to be such a better energetic match. Does this make sense? So anything in your life, you have to remember like you are an energetic frequency. You are operating at it no matter where you're operating at. So if you're always sad panda all the time, you're going to attract sad pandas. If you are like high vibe, excited, on purpose, passionate, you're going to attract high vibe, passionate, purposeful people into your life. I'm attracting tons of those people right now. Tons of them. I'm engaging in like new connections, new relationships all the time with women, men, anyone, where I'm like, oh, I love this. Like this feels so good. The people I'm meeting, the conversations I'm having light me up. I read this quote the other day that said, like, don't just trust that like the people who are meant for you, like you shouldn't spend your whole life like translating your soul or something like that. I forget what it said. I should try to find it. Hold on. Let me find it because I sent it to someone. Let me just look it up. Okay. Just hold with me for a second, please. It said, hopefully it's still here. Okay. This is what it says. Are you ready? May you attract people who speak your language so you don't spend a lifetime translating your soul. May you attract people who speak your language so you don't spend a lifetime translating your soul. And if you really feel that, like how many of you have friends? Maybe it's a partner, maybe it's mom and dad, maybe it's people in your life, maybe it's siblings, where every time you try to explain yourself, you're questioned. They don't get it. Like it just like doesn't match. And it feels like a little bit of resistance, or they question you and they're confused by what you're saying, or they don't get it. And so you're trying to translate your soul, where like your soul people will get you. Your soul people, you'll be able to just speak and they'll be like, spirit fingers, like they get it. You will feel safe to express everything that you could possibly say because they match you energetically and they get it. There's people in your life right now, if you're just new on this journey, you're going to be vibrating higher. And some of the people, unless they start growing with you, aren't going to be an energetic match. But like, do you want to waste your energy on your entire life having to try to explain yourself? The guy that I was talking to recently, that I was like kind of seeing for a little bit, I started feeling like that with him. Like he just didn't get things. Like we get along really well, compatible, compatible, but compatible in that sense where like we get along, we have fun, there's attraction, there's all that stuff. But when we got into certain situations, I was like, yeah, like we're just not there. Like frequency wise, it's not a match because I'm having to explain things that shouldn't need to be explained. I'm getting questioned in areas where I shouldn't be getting questioned. Like my people who know me, they get me. If I'm being questioned, like I don't want a life like that. I don't want a partnership like that. Yeah, there's going to be communication and like deep communication sometimes where you may not see eye to eye on things. That's different. But in a day-to-day conversation where it starts to feel combative in the sense where like you're having to explain yourself, no, like I'm so good without that. And I think for me, it's been a journey this year of realizing like my own worth and my value and truly getting it. So it's like the second that someone else doesn't, I have no time to prove it. I do not need to prove it to you. Like there's people out there that get it, and I am not going to spend a second of my life trying to prove myself to anybody. And like when you get to that place, I had someone say to me at the last health intensive retreat, they're like, you just embody, like, you know your worth. You know it. I can feel it. You never feel like you're trying to prove something. You never feel like you're trying to show anybody anything. Like you just embody self-worth. And I went, holy shit, what a journey. Because it's almost been a decade of me figuring that out. And there are still moments where I don't feel 100% worthy. There's still moments where like my, negative self-talk creeps in. But to know that like in a group setting, I'm self-assured, like I'm just good as I am. I don't feel the need to prove anything or explain anything or like tone down how I speak or what I say. Like I just feel free in that sense. And I'm like, when you operate from that space, you're not going to attract some shitty partner that like doesn't like, you just won't. You're not going to allow people like that into your field or into your life when you're operating out of a frequency of truth. And I think I have two more things I want to say. So, okay, two things. So we were at the health intensive and they said one person operating at the frequency of love, if you haven't looked up David Hawkins' consciousness chart and the frequencies on it, operating at the frequency of love negates an entire stadium filled of people operating out of fear and scarcity and lack and guilt and all those things and shame. And I went, that is so powerful. So every moment that you can get yourself into the frequency of love where that's truly what you feel, love is acceptance. Love is allowing. Love is no judgment. Like love is just being. And like, I really can say there's so many people in my life, I'm like, I just love you. I just love you. I just love you. I just love you. Because I feel love. I feel love within me, which means I'm able to love others. When you have so much self-hatred and self-criticism and self-judgment, that's all you can see in others. But when you truly feel love in yourself, it's almost impossible not to fall in love with everybody. Like all the time, I'm like, okay, is this a guy that I should probably talk to, or do I just like love everyone? Because I'm like, I feel this with girls and my friends all the time. I'm like, oh my God, I just love you. You're so amazing. I just love you. And so then now when you talk about like guys and you're trying to date and whatever, I'm like, I just love you. But I'm like, not like that. I just like love you, like as a person. You get it? So anyways, operate out of the frequency of love every time you can. Like go look at that scale so that you can start questioning and bringing awareness to where you're operating and like try to get yourself up in the levels. And the last thing I want to say is when you declare a goal and you mean it, the real test is, can you stay committed long enough and long before you actually see how it will happen? So when you declare something, you're not going to know how it's going to happen. But can you hold the faith and trust that because you declared it, because you mean it, because it's in this heart-centered service of others, that when you declare it and you want it and you show up with aligned actions, it's going to happen for you? Can you trust it? Can you trust that? Because for me, I'm having to do it right now. And this is something that I wasn't sure if I wanted to like share out loud, but I'm watching how when I think things, I create it, and I'm having it happen instantaneously, you guys. Things are happening where I'm like, holy shit, you thought it and it just happened. You thought of the person, they just texted you. You thought of this thing, they just called you. You thought that this person should join your business, they joined the next day. Like I am feeling this and it's happening quicker and quicker. And if any of you are tapped in, tuned into yourselves, you probably feel this too. And I'm having to do it at the biggest test of all over this next year as I like go into this project and I don't know how everything's going to work out and the logistics of it all, but I'm so trusting in the vision that I'm like, all you need to do right now is you need to learn, can you be abundance? Can you embody abundance? Can you believe in abundance when you don't have abundant amounts of money available? when you're making these big investments and you don't have your bank account full of money, can you trust that like in that place, that's where you learn true abundance? It's easy to feel abundant when you have lots of money. Can you feel abundant, embody it, and be it even when you don't have money? And I'm feeling this even when my bank account is going lower. It's like not cheap to do a massive renovation and build a house. Can you stay in abundance? And so every time my bank account is going lower and I'm just having gratitude, like, oh my God, I'm so grateful that I had enough money to pay for this. I'm so grateful that like I'm seeing a number that I used to would have panic about and feel like I had no money. I don't say that anymore. I'm like, I have so much. I have enough to pay for everything I need. I feel so good right now. Like, can you, when your bank account is low, but it's still taking care of all your needs, feel the abundant feeling of like, I have enough money. I'm always taken care of. I always have enough to make sure that all my needs are met. Like, can you embody abundance even when you don't have lots of money? Does this make sense? And I think that's my new lesson is like, it's so easy to feel abundant when you have lots of money in the bank. Oh yeah, money's so easy and flowy. Like, okay, can you feel that when you have zero? If you got to zero, could you feel the same way? Or do you immediately go into scarcity, fear, lack, not enoughness? If you go into that, what do you create? Scarcity, fear, lack, not enoughness. But if you can practice abundance throughout it all, I'm like, I know I'm about to be blessed with so much more because I'm learning this lesson right now. Okay, that's it. This is a shorter, I talked for 36 minutes. I really thought I was going to be fast and this in 20. Okay, last thing that I just want to say, a couple questions for you to reflect on, then we're ending it. And just by the way, like if you guys loved this, can you share this episode? Can you send it to someone? Can you like it on YouTube? Can you leave a comment? Can you subscribe, like do all the things? I really feel like I want this podcast to grow over the next year. I never do paid ads. I never do any, like, I don't do anything to make money off of this. Like I really just put this out there because I feel like it's a way for me to communicate so much more with you guys than I ever could on Instagram or stories. And so if you like this, if you want to like the YouTube video, if you want to subscribe to my YouTube channel, if you want to subscribe on Spotify and Apple and all the things, like all of that is really, really helpful. And I really, really appreciate you if you want to do that. Okay. And on the topic of masculine and feminine energies, like I still have my Empowered Feminine course, which really helps you understand like what is feminine energy, how do you tap into it if you're someone who's been hyper masculine and like go, do, and helps you kind of understand that difference of force versus flow and how you can utilize a lot of these skills to call in what you want in life. So I do have that. It's like a 6-week course thing with a bunch of modules, steps, questions, all the things. If you want to do that, I will link it below. Okay, so I have a couple questions for you. Reflect on your life. Where is somewhere you decided or declared you wanted something or thought of someone or had an idea in your head and it happened? Pause it. Think of it. I want you to understand how powerful you are and that you are creating your life at all times. So reflect on your life. Try to think of the last time that you noticed this happen. And next question. What is something you know with absolute clarity and certainty that you want in your life? 10 seconds. Think of something. What's the first thing that came to your mind? Was it like the dream relationship, the dream house, happiness with your kids, healthy kids, like love, peace, joy in your family, like whatever your thing is, a new car, the bag that you want, whatever, it doesn't matter. What's the thing that you know you want with absolute certainty and clarity? Know it, see it in your mind's eye. And then after this, if you're driving or doing whatever, write it down. Note it in your mind that that's the thing that you want. Okay. And then I want you to think about 3 things that you can start doing right now to move you toward that thing. So for example, with the house, it was like, talk to a builder, talk to a mortgage broker, go look at houses. 3 things moving me in the right direction. For you, let's say it's like, you want to grow your business. Okay. Maybe it's making that phone call you know you haven't wanted to make. Maybe it's doing a live for the first time because you've been terrified. Maybe it's sending that message to that person that you know would be amazing, but you're scared to do it. Whatever that thing is, like a client outreach, doing the event that you've always been afraid of, like whatever the thing is for you, think of 3 things that you know you could start taking action on right now that would move you toward that thing. And just to end with, keep having unwavering faith in whatever it is you want to have, paired with extraordinary effort, and you can achieve anything you want in life. That's the miracle equation. There's a book on that if you haven't read it, by Hal Elrod. I got to see him speak at one of Danny Morell's events and it was so amazing. He's just awesome. So the miracle equation in the morning, the miracle morning, both those books by Hal Elrod are really good. Anyways, thank you so much for listening. Thank you guys. Have the best day. Bye.